Hey YouTube, I usually start my video with some kind of complaint or rant and offend people. I'm not going to do that today. Today I'm going to offend people the old-fashioned way by talking about the 1911. As you can tell by the title of the video and what you see on the screen, this video is about the Wesson Valor. Now I rate 1911s in 4 different categories. There's hundreds of manufacturers over the years that made 1911s. The only ones I'm going to talk about today are the ones that I'm familiar with, the ones that I've either owned, shot, or at least handled. So any name brand I mention, I am familiar with it. The first class of 1911s is going to be your low class, bottom of the barrel. And in that category I'm going to put the Llama and the Rock Island Armory. I know there's people out there that'll say the Rock Island's just as good as this Wesson. Those are the same people that'll say a Kia Forte is just as good a car as a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. So if you're one of those people, go on and turn the video off. Or leave a comment so we can all get a laugh at how ignorant you are. The next class is the lower middle class. In that class I'm going to put the Ruger SR 1911 and the Remington R1. There's one more that I would put in the lower middle class, but I'm going to go on and drop it down in the low class just because everything else they make is so crappy, and that is the Taurus PT 1911. I believe the quality of the Taurus 1911 is up there with the Remington and the Ruger, but since everything else they make is so junky, I'm putting them in the lower class just for their reputation alone. So then you're going to move up to your upper middle class, and that's where most of the guns you're going to find in the gun store are going to rate, in my opinion, and that's your Colts, your Springfields, and your Kimbers. These are fine examples of a 1911. Don't get me wrong, don't panic, but they are not the upper level as far as craftsmanship and fit and finish. They are production guns. They're guns that are being pumped out as fast as they can to make as much money as they can for the corporation, and that's all you can say about it. Not saying they're bad, but they're not great. But then you move up to the upper level, and then you're going to have your Ed Brown, Wilson Combat, and this Wesson that you see in front of you. A little history on Wesson. Wesson is the great-grandson of the Wesson from Smith & Wesson. He worked for Smith & Wesson much of his life. He started his own company in 1968, and he ran it until he died in 1978. The company had various owners since then until 2005 when CZ USA bought the company, and they still own them to this day. Wesson held many patents, mostly for revolvers, but he definitely earned his right to have a place in the great gun designers and manufacturers in America, and that's all there is to it. Now, this Wesson is hand-fitted by a craftsman, by a gunsmith. Everyone that leaves the factory is hand-fitted, and you can tell that in the fit and the finish just by holding and handling the gun. Now, thank you, Wesson, for not plastering your name down the side of the slide like so many of other manufacturers do. A lot of companies will put their name on this side as big as they can get it. As you can see, this one's clean. It simply says Valor in small letters right here. I like that. If you notice the fit of this 1911, the slide to the frame, there is absolutely no movement whatsoever. None. A good way to tell the fit and the finish on a 1911 is right back here where the slide meets the frame, back here around the hammer. This is as close as perfection as you can get. Now this Dan Wesson has a steel mainspring housing, 24 lines per inch checkering. I've had guns that I have listed in the upper middle class that had a plastic mainspring housing. This one is steel. It has also the 24 lines per inch checkering on the front strap. Now these grips you see on this one did not come standard. This gun comes with G10 grips, black grips. The owner of this gun installed these woolly mammoth grips. Now, I don't discuss prices much on this channel because prices are subject to change with time, and they're also different from area to area. But I will say this gun with these grips will run you about 4 to 5 Glocks. The grips alone are about 1 Glock. They are woolly mammoth. Now, can I prove that? No. They could be the tailbone out of a donkey for all I know. But supposedly they're woolly mammoth. They're very expensive and they're very nice. And they do add to the look of this gun. And you can get these for any 1911. The gun also comes with tritium night sights, single dot rear, single dot front. The parts such as the safety, the slide hold open and take down pin. Notice I said slide hold open, not slide release. Do not use it as a slide release. A lot of lower end manufacturers will use MIM parts for these. That's MIM, metal injection molding. These are not MIM parts. These are also hand fitted parts that are machined out of a billet of steel. A lot of the lower end manufacturers will use cast frames. If you don't know the difference between casting and forging, look it up. Casting is basically where you liquefy metal and pour it into a mold. Forging is where you heat up a billet of steel and press it into the shape you're trying to get it. Now the forging causes a lot more labor. That's why you pay more money. The casting is faster and it's not necessarily bad, but it's not upper shelf. It's not top of the line. You will never see a cast frame in an upper end firearm. Now, in order for what I've listed as your upper middle class to get more money out of their guns, they have to add more features. This is a Kimber Master Carry Ultra. This is probably one of Kimber's top of the line. It costs close to what the Dan Wesson cost, but not quite. But in order to get that kind of money, they had to add features such as Crimson Trace laser grips. It also comes with night sights. It has a semi-bobtailed frame here, not completely, but it's cut, it's relieved anyway. But if you take this Kimber, which costs close to what the Dan Wesson will, I know you won't be able to see this, but there's quite a bit of movement side to side from the slide to the frame. Even up and down, there's a slight movement. Side to side, there's considerable movement. This gun is not even broke in. It has less than 500 rounds through it. So it's a fine gun, but it's not hand fitted, and the tolerances are not anywhere close to what you're going to get out of this Dan Wesson. Now, the owner of this Dan Wesson gave me permission to shoot it, and also gave me permission to take it down for this video. I'm not going to do that. I don't need to drive a Ferrari to know that it's fast. Just like when I referred to the llama in Rock Island Armory, I don't need to eat a dog turd to know that it tastes bad. But I have owned the llama in Rock Island, and I have eaten that turd, and it does taste bad. But I'm not going to shoot this Dan Wesson. This Dan Wesson would be the crown of most people's collection. and it's not mine, so I'm not going to shoot it. I'm not going to take it down. I would hate to be the one to put an idiot scratch on a gun such as this. Now, so far, over all my years of tearing down 1911s, I have never put an idiot scratch on one. But I certainly don't want to be the one to put one on a gun like this. I'm so worried about scratching this gun, that's why I have it laying on this, what looks to be the seat cover out of a pimp's Cadillac. I don't want to damage this gun while it's in my possession. I'm not going to shoot it. I'm not going to take it down. I don't need to. You can tell that the quality is there just by looking at it if you know anything about anything. So I'm not going to shoot it. But the owner has shot it, and he said it shot very well, and I'm sure it did. It can't do nothing but shoot well. When you get a craftsman, a gunsmith, to hand fit a gun, you're going to get quality. And that's what this is. This is quality. Gun collecting is a hobby just like anything else. And the longer you stay in that hobby, you're going to have to up your game a little bit. When I started reloading, I had a Lee press that was like 80 bucks. Now I have two Dillon presses that I'm not even going to discuss the price of. So any hobby you get into, if you're truly passionate about it, you're going to increase the quality of your collection. And this Dan Wesson would be the crown jewel of just about any collection. Can you spend more on a 1911? Absolutely. But you're not going to get a lot more quality than what you see here before you. Now, I've shot Ed Brown's, and I've shot a Wilson Combat. I have not shot this one, but I'm sure that it's right in there with them. So, one good thing about a gun like this, they do cost a lot of money, but they will always be worth what you paid for them, even more. A gun like this will never go out of style. A gun like this will never lose value. High-end 1911s, even upper middle class 1911s, and high-end revolvers will always hold their value and even increase in value. So if you're considering upping your game and you're thinking about a Dan Wesson Valor, then I will guarantee you will not be disappointed in the quality of this firearm. If you're watching this video because you're thinking about buying one, yes, they are expensive, but you're never going to lose a dime on it, I promise you that. In fact, 10 years from now, this gun will be worth more than it is today. So, there's the downside to buying quality, and that's the initial price, but the upside far exceeds it, and the fact that it will always have value and will never lose a dime as long as you have it. So that's all I got to say about that. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.